Today we're with Victoria Travis from Travis Associates, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her firm. How are you, Victoria?
Good, thanks, Ron. Good to be here.
So, in order to give a little background, because I know I was new to this as I heard it, is why should a veterinary practice hire a veterinary recruiter?
Great question. The main reason is that probably they've had an opening for 3, 4, 5 months. And if you consider that an average veterinarian probably bills anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 a month in charges, having that person, that position open is costing the practice at least 50% of that. So let's say $20,000 a month.
Okay.
So, and if the practice has left the opening for 5 months, 20,000 times 5, it's $100,000. So if the practice hasn't been able to hire someone and use their strategies to do it, they might turn it over to somebody who's done this for a living for 17 years and has a pretty good track record.
Right, and a regular veterinarian wouldn't be able to just put an ad up for themselves?
Well, they've already done that. They've
Okay.
already put ads up, and they haven't gotten anybody. They've used their standard techniques. So what I do is I go above and beyond just the professional advertising. I go into the nooks and crannies of the internet, like LinkedIn and Facebook, and I have a team of experts that help me do that and find really these untapped, fabulous veterinarians.
Right, how do you go about qualifying the prospective veterinarians? How does that process work? Do you go and find a bunch of people, or how does that?
Well, as I find people, I qualify them. And I've had a long conversation with the owner and with the practice manager of the practice to find out exactly what qualities they're looking for. And then once I find those qualities in a person, then I would present them to the practice owner and to the hospital manager. Usually my interview takes about an hour. Check references, get the resume. So the practice doesn't have to do this. The practice can just do what they do well, which is to heal pets and take care of clients. And what I can do is do this routine stuff that's challenging and distracts them from their real jobs.
So what types of qualification characteristics are the practice owners interested in? What would differentiate a prospective client?
Well, that's a great question. I would say that if they're looking for a new graduate, what really sets a new graduate apart is that they've had veterinary tech experience. So they've actually been a technician in a veterinary practice, so they know how the practice works. So when they are new graduates, kind of struggling a little bit, they at least know patient flow, and they usually catch on and are oriented more quickly than somebody who has no experience whatsoever. For an experienced veterinarian, usually the practice has specific requirements. Most of them are, say, expertise in soft tissue surgery, diagnostic skills, dentals are an important qualification, and then they often like to have somebody that's got some ultrasound. And then the real cherry on the top of the sundae would be somebody that might have some orthopedic experience.
Okay. And do they need to understand how to deal with the pet owners, the patients in this case?
Yes.
How does that?
Right.
How does that enter into it?
That's a great question. Most people want somebody who has good client communication, and they want somebody who, when they trust their best clients to this new person, can take care of these clients and their pets very well. So client communication is another big qualification.
And you have, do you work for the practice, or do you work for the veterinary?
So I'm hired by the veterinary practice owner, so by the practice, and they hire me to fill an opening that they have in their practice. Also, sometimes veterinarians will come to me looking for an opportunity, and then I can help them. And one of the things that I bring to the table that makes me just a little bit different than other recruiters is that I'm a certified career and life coach. So after I place the new veterinarian in the practice, I give them a free 3-month one-on-one coaching. So I coach both the new candidate, the newly placed veterinarian, and then sometimes I'll coach a little bit the owner, because they need a little help in how do I best orient this new doctor to my practice.
And so would you consider that to be sort of a retention program, or
Yes.
how would you characterize that?
Yeah, great. It's called, and I actually call it my veterinary retention program. And this 3 months of one-on-one coaching is included in my standard fees.
Okay. And how do they go about hiring you? How does that work?
Well, they can give me a call on the phone, 720-535-6433, or they can take a look at my website and respond that way. The fastest service is usually by calling my 720 number.
Mm-hmm. And when they contact you, how does that, what are the next steps that take place?
Well, we have a conversation, and if what I have to say resonates with them, then I send them a draft contract, which talks about my fees and what's provided, and then I also send them an email brochure that goes into more detail about my background and my experience.
Gotcha. How many placements have you accomplished?
Well, I would say probably I've done an average of 25 to 30 a year for 16 years. So math is not one of my skills, so you figure that.
I gotcha.
That's
I
what
gotcha. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share in this introduction?
I think that what I'd like to say is that many recruiters do their business in a certain way, and my business is different because the fact that I'm a coach and a recruiter allows me really to help expand the retention of the person that's hired. I know a client called me the other day and he said, I hired 4 new vets last year and they've all quit. And I was astounded that this had happened, and I thought, gee, too bad you didn't hire me, because I could have helped with improving that retention. So I think the combination of my experience in recruiting and coaching really makes me somebody to consider hiring.
And do you work just in your local area, or is this a nationwide program? Or
I work nationwide, so in every state, and I also work in Ontario, in Canada.
Ontario, and is it for all types of vet disciplines?
It's generally for small practice. That's what I do. Occasionally I'll do a mixed practice veterinarian, which is large animal and small, but generally I'm doing small animal.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Ron.